Okay, I have a question for you to start things off today. If a 9-year-old kid manages to commit wire fraud, creates a fake identity, and scams strangers out of thousands of dollars, are you mad at him?
Huh.
Or are you, like, secretly impressed?
Legally, I am concerned. I am very concerned. But from a purely capability standpoint, it is incredibly impressive.
It really is.
And frankly, it's a terrifying predictor of future success.
Right. I feel like that kid is either going to prison or becoming a Fortune 500 CEO.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no middle ground.
There really isn't. And that is exactly where we are starting today. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are heading out west to Winding River, Wyoming. We are analyzing Do You Take This Rebel by Sherryl Woods.
And I know what some of you are thinking. A romance novel.
Yeah.
Really. But listen, I read this thing, and it is not just people staring longingly at each other across a pasture.
Although there is a bit of that.
I mean, there is some of that, sure. But this is actually a really intense case study on family trauma, the socioeconomic shifts in the American West, and, as we mentioned, elementary school cybercrime.
It creates such a fascinating intersection. Usually when we look at these second chance romance tropes, the conflict is, purely emotional.
Yeah, I wasn't ready, or we grew apart.
Exactly. We were just too different.
Yeah.
In this text, the conflict is structural. It's about class, it's about money, and it's about a conspiracy that involves multiple generations. It's so much deeper.
It's basically Succession, but with more cowboy hats and way less swearing. So let's lay the groundwork. We have our two leads, Cassie Collins and Cole Davis.
The central pairing. And to really understand them, you have to look at archetypes they represented in high school versus who they are when the book opens 10 years later.
Okay.
So 10 years ago, Cassie was the rebel.
Which usually means what in a small town? Like smoking behind the bleachers, drinking a beer in a parking lot.
Exactly. All of the above. She was the ringleader. The text calls her that. She was the girl from the wrong side of the tracks. Her mother, Edna, took in mending to make ends meet, very working class.
Right.
Cassie was the girl who famously painted the town water tower pink. She was loud, she was brash, and really, she was covering up this deep, deep insecurity about her poverty.
Okay, so that's Cassie, and then we have Cole Davis.
The foil. In high school, Cole was the geek. He was the skinny, awkward kid with glasses who was really good at math and computers, but, and this is a big but, he was a Davis. He lived on the Double D Ranch. In Winding River, that is the equivalent of being a Kennedy or a Rockefeller. It's old money, land, and power.
So you have the classic uptown girl dynamic, but completely reversed.
Yeah.
The poor rebel girl and the rich, awkward boy.
Precisely. And they fall in love, this secret, intense high school romance. But when we pick up the story 10 years later, the power dynamic has shifted in a really interesting way.
How so?
Cole isn't just a rancher living off daddy's money. He took his geeky skills and became a tech mogul. He's created computer programs, made millions completely independently of his family. And physically, well, he has had the ultimate glow up.
He got hot.
He got very hot. The text makes a point of describing him as hard muscle. He's confident, he's powerful, he commands a room. Meanwhile,
Cassie's life went the other way.
It did. She's a single mom, working as a waitress in another state, barely making rent. She's really struggling.
And the reason she's struggling, and the reason she hasn't been back to Winding River in 10 years, is the secret. She has a son. His name is Jake.
Jake Collins, 9 years old, a brilliant, complicated kid, and Cole Davis has absolutely no idea this boy exists.
Which is the secret baby trope.
Yeah.
A classic. But usually in these books, the mom comes home because, like, her aunt died and left her a charming but failing bakery.
Right, or her best friend is getting married and she's the maid of honor.
Exactly. Some wholesome reason. Cassie doesn't want to go back. She is being forced to go back.
Mm.
And this brings us to my favorite part of the entire deep dive, the catalyst.
A crime.
Let's talk about Jake. This kid is 9. And you have to put yourself in the tech mindset of when this was written, so late 90s, early 2000s. What exactly does he do?
So the setup is simple. Jake desperately wants to visit his grandmother, Edna, in Winding River for the summer. Cassie tells him, honey, no, we just can't afford it.
A normal kid would pout, maybe cry.
A normal kid accepts that. Jake goes to his school computer lab, tells the teacher he's doing extra credit, and proceeds to set up a fraudulent internet auction ring.
I have to respect the hustle. It's incredible.
He lists items that are highly coveted by collectors at the time. He's smart about it. He lists valuable baseball cards, rare Pokemon cards, the first edition Charizard, and even rare Beanie Babies.
Oh, the Beanie Babies, the
Oh.
tulip mania of the 90s.
Exactly. He knows the market. He knows what people are searching for online. And of course, he doesn't have any of these things, not a single one.
So he's engaging in arbitrage of non-existent goods as a 9-year-old.
It's straight wire fraud. And you have to think about the logistics here because this isn't today's world of Venmo or PayPal. This is the era of dial-up.
Right.
He is convincing grown adults to go to the post office, buy a physical money order, put it in an envelope, and mail it to a P.O. box or some other address he controls.
That requires a level of social engineering and, sounding legitimate online that's just baffling for a third grader.
It's completely baffling. He's emailing with these adults, creating a whole persona, and he's successful. He racks up $2,200.
$2,000.
Yeah.
In the 90s, that's a decent used car. That is a significant amount of money for a kid whose mom is a waitress.
It is grand larceny territory. And eventually he gets caught. The sheriff in their town, a guy named Joshua Cartwright, shows up at their door. It's a crisis.
Huge crisis.
But here's the deeper layer of analysis, the thing that makes this plot so brilliant.
Yeah.
Why did he do it? He wasn't buying a PlayStation or video games. He kept the money in a little metal box under his bed. He was saving it to pay for their bus tickets and expenses to go to Winding River.
He just wanted to see his grandma. That just breaks my heart.
It is heartbreaking, but it's also the first major clue to his paternity. Because who is the only other person in this entire story with that level of intuitive understanding of systems and technology?
Cole, the tech mogul.
Exactly. It's nature versus nurture playing out in real time. Cassie is trying to hide Jake to keep him away from Cole, but Jake's own genetics, his intellect, his tech savviness, are the very thing that forced them back into Cole's orbit. The boy is a Davis, whether Cassie wants to admit it or not.
It's like a tragic irony. His own son's brilliance is what threatens to expose her secret.
It's perfectly constructed, so the sheriff, instead of arresting this child, basically pulls a power move. Sheriff Cartwright happens to be dating Cassie's boss at the diner, a woman named Earlene. So he's in this unique position. He looks at this kid and he sees potential, but he also sees a kid with no male role model who is getting into serious trouble.
He's playing social worker.
He is. He effectively extorts Cassie. He tells her, look, I won't press charges, but you need to take this kid out of the city. He needs fresh air. He needs to be around family. He needs a change of scenery.
He's basically saying, go back to Winding River or your son goes to juvie.
Essentially, yes, it's a forced choice, and it forces Cassie to confront the one thing she is absolutely terrified of, her past.
So they have no choice. They pack up the car, they head for Wyoming. And let's talk about the setting for a minute, because Winding River isn't just a backdrop. It's almost a character in itself that represents the central conflict.
It absolutely is. As they drive in, the text gives us these very specific visual markers. The first thing they see is the sign for the Double D Ranch, Cole's family ranch.
Right.
And it's described as massive, imposing, traditional. It represents old power, the kind of dynastic power that can crush a single mother like Cassie. It's a physical manifestation of her fear.
And then they see the water tower, the one she painted.
Exactly. The symbol of her rebellion. She painted it bright pink in high school as an act of defiance. And when she sees it now, it's been painted over. It's a clean, sterile white.
Her mark has been erased.
It's a powerful symbol that the town has moved on without her. Her past has been literally whitewashed.
But then Jake, the kid, spots something new. He spots the airport. And this feels like a really important detail for the time period this was written.
It is huge. It's a critical detail. Winding River isn't just a sleepy cow town anymore. Jake sees a small airstrip, but parked on that airstrip are half a dozen private jets. This signals the invasion of new money. It signals that people like Cole haven't just stayed in the past running the ranch, they've capitalized on the future. It immediately sets up Cole as not just a cowboy, but a titan of industry who can come and go as he pleases.
Which makes him infinitely more intimidating to Cassie. She didn't leave a boy behind. She is coming back to a full-blown tycoon.
A tycoon who, in his mind, she cruelly abandoned without a word.
That's a huge obstacle.
Yeah.
So she's terrified. She can't do this alone. She needs allies. Enter the Calamity Janes.
The squad, the cavalry.
This is her high school friend group. And I feel like we need to spend a moment here because the book really, really leans into the idea that romantic love is fragile and can be broken, but female friendship is ironclad.
That is a central thesis of the entire series this book is a part of. The Calamity Janes are a group of 5 women who all graduated together in the class of '91.
So who are they?
You have Karen, who was the dreamer but stayed behind to marry a local rancher, Caleb. You have Gina, who's a successful chef living in New York. There's Emma, who became a high-powered attorney in Denver. And then you have Lauren.
Lauren is the wild card, right?
Lauren is the biggest surprise. She was the class valedictorian. Everyone thought she'd be, I don't know, a professor or a scientist. Instead, she moves to LA and becomes a massive Hollywood movie star.
Talk about a pivot. From small-town brainiac to A-lister.
A huge pivot. But the beauty of their dynamic, and the text portrays this really, really well, is that when Cassie rolls back into town, completely broke, with a criminal child and a suitcase full of secrets, there is no judgment.
No, I told you so.
Not a hint of it. It is immediate mobilization. They circle the wagons. What do you need? Where are you staying? Do you need money? It's instantaneous support.
It's the ride or die mentality in action.
It creates a safety net for her. Honestly, without these women, Cassie would likely get back in her car and leave immediately. But they anchor her there. They give her the courage to walk into Stella's diner.
Which brings us to the scene we've all been waiting for, the encounter. Stella's diner, the heart of the town. Cassie's there with Jake. The door opens. In walks Cole Davis.
And the air just leaves the room. It's that moment.
Describe the vibe. Is he angry? He'd be happy to see her. What's the feeling?
He's cold. He's absolutely frigid. He sees her, and he doesn't see the struggling single mom. He sees the girl who shattered his heart into a million pieces. And the physical description here is so important because it highlights what Cassie feels she lost and what she's now up against. He's described as hard muscle. He's not the skinny geek anymore. He occupies space with this raw confidence. And he immediately, almost hostilely, brings up unfinished business.
Okay, this is where we have to unpack the letters, because this is the engine of the entire tragedy.
It is a tragedy of errors, or rather a tragedy of interception. It's a pre-digital age disaster.
Right.
They start arguing right there in the diner about the past. And Cole says, I wrote you. When my dad forced me back to college for the summer, I wrote you a letter. I begged you to wait for me.
And Cassie is just like completely bewildered. What letter? I never got a letter from you.
Exactly. And then Cole drops his own bomb. He says, oh, I got your letter, Cassie. The one where you told me I was just a summer fling, that you were done with me, and that I should never contact you again.
And she never wrote that.
Never. So for 10 years, you have these two people living in completely different realities. Cole has been operating on the belief that Cassie is cold, heartless, and used him for a thrill.
And Cassie has been believing that Cole used her for sex and then ghosted her the second he went back to his rich, sophisticated life. She was just the poor girl he played with for a summer.
It's the classic miscommunication trope, but it's been weaponized here. It's not just that they didn't talk, it's that they were actively fed disinformation designed to hurt them as much as possible.
It also speaks directly to their deepest insecurities.
Right. Say more about that.
Well, why did they believe the silence so easily? Because Cassie, deep down, felt unworthy of the rich boy from the Double D. Of course he'd dump her. And Cole, the former geek, probably felt deep down that he was unworthy of the cool rebel girl. Of course she was just using him.
That's a brilliant insight. You're absolutely right. The manipulator, whoever it was, knew exactly which buttons to press. They didn't just separate them, they poisoned the memory of their love.
It's so cruel. And we're going to act like detectives and figure out who that manipulator was later. But right now, the entire genre of the podcast and the book, it shifts dramatically.
It does.
We go from romance mystery to full-blown medical drama.
Yes. Just as the tension with Cole is reaching a boiling point, real life crashes in. Edna Collins, Cassie's mom, finally reveals why she's been acting so strange and secretive.
She has breast cancer.
And not just that she has it, she's been actively hiding it. She found a lump, she went to the doctor, she got a biopsy confirming it was malignant, and she told absolutely no one.
Why would you hide that from your own daughter?
This brings us back to that rural, stoic psychology we touched on earlier. Edna is a woman who has had a hard life. She's poor, she's fiercely proud. In her mind, being needed by others is a strength, but needing help is a profound weakness.
She didn't want to be a burden.
Exactly. She didn't want to ruin Cassie's reunion visit. She didn't want to cast a shadow over everything. It's this sort of frustratingly noble, but also incredibly dangerous form of martyrdom.
She was literally planning to wait until Cassie drove back to the city before having the surgery. She was going to go through it all alone.
Can you imagine? It's just heartbreaking.
But the secret comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And this crisis is actually the pivot point for Cole's character. Because up until now, he's been kind of a jerk. Justifiably, maybe, but still a jerk. He's been cold, he's been accusatory. But the minute he hears Edna is sick,
He flips a switch instantly.
he goes into what you can only describe as full hero mode.
He does, and this is important. It's not just about money, although the money obviously helps a lot. He immediately gets on the phone and arranges for the best surgeon in Denver. He fuels up his private jet to fly them there immediately.
Wow.
But the emotional resonance, the thing that makes it not just a rich guy throwing money at a problem, comes from his backstory. The text reveals that Cole lost his own mother to breast cancer years ago.
Oh, wow. I completely missed that detail. That changes everything.
It does. It reframes his entire motivation. It explains why he's so intense about it. He couldn't save his own mother. He was just a kid. He was helpless then. Now, he has the money, the planes, the connections. He is going to save Edna because, on some level, he is trying to heal that old wound in himself.
So he's not just doing it to impress Cassie or to get back in her good graces.
No, not at all. It's visceral for him. He is personally deeply invested in fighting this disease. It's a chance for a do-over.
But this incredible act of kindness creates a massive logistical problem for Cassie. She now has to get on a small, private plane with Cole and Jake.
The pressure cooker scenario, it's one of my favorite narrative devices. You are trapped in a metal tube at 30,000 feet. You literally can't run away from the conflict.
And while they're on this flight to Denver, Cole, trying to be a good guy, decides to be nice to Cassie's kid. He invites Jake into the cockpit.
Oh, God. This scene gave me so much secondhand anxiety just reading about it. It's so tense.
It is dramatic irony at its absolute peak. You have Cole, the biological father, teaching Jake, his biological son, how to fly a plane.
He even lets Jake take the controls for a minute. And Cole is noting all these things in his head. He's thinking, wow, this kid is smart. He's so intuitive. He understands the instrument panel instantly.
He's seeing himself in the boy, all of his own aptitudes, but he's not recognizing it. He's completely oblivious.
Exactly. He just thinks, this is a really bright kid.
Mm.
Meanwhile, Cassie is in the passenger seat just sweating bullets. She knows that every single second they bond, the lie she's telling gets heavier and more monstrous.
She is watching them fall in love as father and son, knowing she is the walls standing between them. It must be agonizing.
And it creates this terrible, crushing guilt. He's saving her mother's life, he's being wonderful to her son, and she is still lying directly to his face about the most important thing imaginable.
And that guilt is corrosive, right? It starts to erode her defenses. It's one thing to keep a secret from a villain who you think abandoned you. It's really, really hard to keep a secret from a hero who is saving your family.
It changes the entire moral calculus of her decision.
So they get to Denver. Edna has the surgery. It's a lumpectomy, not a full mastectomy. And it's successful. The prognosis is good.
Everyone breathes this huge sigh of relief. They think the tragedy has been averted. They think they're through the worst of it.
But this is a drama, so peace never, ever lasts long. We move immediately to part 5, the tragedy. And this one just hurts. It comes out of nowhere.
It does. It is a perfect example of narrative whiplash. Just as they're celebrating Edna's survival in the hospital, the phone rings. It's for Cassie. It's about the Calamity Janes. Specifically, it's about Karen.
Karen's husband, Caleb, the rancher she married right out of high school.
He was out working on the ranch, just a normal day, and he collapses. A massive, sudden heart attack. He's dead at 38.
That is just brutal. So unexpected.
It is completely jarring, and the juxtaposition is intentional. You have Edna, the older woman who has been fighting cancer, and she wins. And you have Caleb, the young, strong, healthy rancher who drops dead in an instant.
What is the author doing here narratively? I mean, why kill Caleb? It feels so cruel.
I think it serves a few key purposes. Thematically, it just slams home the fragility of life. It forces every single character to stop playing games and reevaluate their priorities.
Right.
When you realize your friend's husband can die at 38, holding on to a 10-year-old grudge seems petty and stupid. It creates this profound sense of urgency. Life is short, fix your messes.
And it has a huge impact on the friend group, right? It completely changes Lauren's life.
Hugely. Lauren, the Hollywood movie star, is there for the funeral. She looks at her grieving friend, Karen, who now has to run a massive ranch alone, and she has this epiphany. She realizes that her movies, her career, none of it matters as much as her friends.
But she stays.
She announces she's staying in Winding River indefinitely to help Karen run the ranch. It puts her entire career on hold. It's this massive sacrifice that cements the idea that these women are not just friends, they are a family unit.
And what about Cole? How does he handle this new tragedy?
He steps up again. He becomes the rock for everyone. He handles the funeral arrangements. He supports the women. He proves once again that he is a man of substance, a dependable pillar of the community. And this, for Cassie, kind of breaks her. She can't fight her feelings for him anymore.
She's falling in love with him all over again. For real this time.
She is, and he is actively courting her. In his mind, they are starting fresh. He thinks, okay, we had a rough start when she came back, a lot of old baggage, but we can build something new from here.
But you can't build a new house on top of a sinkhole. And the secret about Jake is the sinkhole.
Precisely. It's an unstable foundation that's about to collapse.
Before the secret comes out, though, we have to solve the mystery of the letters. Who broke them up all those years ago? This leads us to part 6, the conspiracy.
This all comes to a head when Jake, being the obsessive little tech genius he is, decides he wants to work on computers with Cole again. So he hitchhikes, which, by the way, is terrifying for Cassie, to the Double D Ranch.
He just walks right into the lion's den. Unbelievable.
Cassie realizes he's gone, panics completely, and storms the ranch to get him back. And in the hallway of the main house, she runs straight into Frank Davis, Cole's father, the patriarch.
The villain, the man she's been afraid of all this time.
And Frank doesn't mince words. He's been waiting for this. He looks at her and he looks at the boy and he says, essentially, I know.
He knows Jake is his grandson.
He says, one look is all it takes. The family resemblance is apparently undeniable to everyone but Cole, who is too close to see it. But then Frank twists the knife. He doesn't just admit he knew. He admits he separated them, but he reveals he had an accomplice.
And this is the twist that just, it made me gasp when I read it.
It wasn't just Frank, the snobby rich father. It was Edna.
Cassie's own mother.
Edna Collins. Frank reveals that she was the one who intercepted Cole's letter, the nice one, the please wait for me letter, and ripped it to shreds before Cassie ever saw it.
But why? I mean, Frank, I get he's a snob. He wanted his son to marry into another wealthy ranching family. But Edna, why would she sabotage her own daughter's happiness like that?
Well, Frank claims they both agreed the kids were too young and too serious. But if you dig deeper, you have to think about Edna's own trauma. She was a poor single mother who struggled her whole life. She probably thought she was protecting Cassie from the inevitable heartbreak of being rejected by the powerful Davises later on.
So she broke her heart to save her from potential future heartbreak.
It's that twisted, toxic logic of protection again. But for Cassie, this is a mind-shattering double betrayal. She has been protecting her mother this whole time, nursing her through cancer, only to find out her own mother is the architect of her decade of misery.
That's devastating. And Frank isn't done, right? He doesn't just confess, he issues a threat.
A chilling one. He tells Cassie that if this truth ever comes out and Cole finds out about the boy, the Davises will fight her for custody. And he says, and this is a direct quote or close to it, we want the heir, not the mother.
Oof, the heir. That is so cold and dehumanizing. It's not about a grandson, it's about a bloodline.
It confirms every single fear Cassie has had for 9 years. She wasn't being paranoid. She was right. They see her as an incubator. They want to take her son and discard her like trash.
So now the stakes are just astronomical. If she tells Cole the truth, she risks losing her son to this horrible man. But if she doesn't tell Cole the truth, she's building a relationship and a family on a catastrophic lie.
She is completely and utterly cornered. There's no good way out.
And then, just like that, the explosion happens. Part 7. The computer, the kiss, and the truth.
And it doesn't happen because of Frank's machinations. It happens because of a simple emotional slip from a 9-year-old boy.
Set the scene for us.
Cole is still in courtship mode. He's trying to win Cassie over for good. He brings a brand new computer to her house as a gift for Jake. But he's smart about it. He stripped the modem out of it, respecting Cassie's rules, so Jake can't run any more scams.
That's actually thoughtful parenting, considering.
It is. He's trying. Then he takes Cassie swimming in the river. It's romantic. The chemistry is boiling over. They kiss. He thinks he's finally winning. He thinks they're on the verge of a real new beginning.
But then they're all back on the porch of her mom's house.
Yes. And Cassie is scolding Jake, probably for sneaking off to the ranch again. She's stressed, she's at her wit's end, she's angry. And Jake, who is confused by all this adult tension and just genuinely loves Cole, yells back at her.
And he says the one thing you can never, ever unsay.
He's crying, he's frustrated, and he screams, I wish you were my dad. And he says it right to Cole.
Now, a kid could say that. You know, you're cool, I wish you were my dad. That alone isn't a confession.
No, you're right. That alone could be explained away. But Cole, hearing this, instinctively looks at Cassie for her reaction, and Cassie doesn't say, "Oh, Jake, don't be silly." She doesn't laugh it off.
She freezes.
The text says she reacts with sheer panic and silence.
And the silence is the confession. The silence is louder than any words could be.
Absolutely. Cole sees the pure terror in her eyes. Then he looks at the boy. He really looks at him for the first time, not as Cassie's son, but as a mirror.
Yeah.
He sees the blue eyes, he sees the tech skills, he does the math in his head, 9 years old, and the realization just hits him like a freight train.
How does he react? Because this is the moment. Does he hug the kid? Does he cry? Is there a moment of joy?
No, none of that. He goes cold. It's described as a cold fury. You have to put yourself in his shoes. In 1 second, he's flooded with the realization that he has missed everything. The first steps, the first words. Kindergarten. T-ball games.
9 years. 9 years have been stolen from him.
Stolen is exactly the right word. He looks at Cassie, the woman he was just kissing by the river, and he says something like, "I thought I knew you."
Ouch. That cuts deeper than screaming ever could.
He views her silence not as fear of his father, but as a malicious, calculated deception. To him, every smile she's given him in the last few weeks, every shared moment, was a lie.
So the new romance is dead. The trust is completely incinerated, and Cole goes on the warpath. This brings us to part 8, the fallout.
He doesn't even yell at Cassie anymore. He just turns and leaves. And he goes straight to the source of the original sin. He drives to the Double D Ranch and confronts his father.
Because he realizes Frank must have known this whole time.
Frank admits it almost immediately. And he tries to spin it, of course. He uses the classic manipulator's handbook. "The girl is no good for you. I was protecting our family. I even offered her money."
He tried to pay her off. He admits that.
He admits that he offered Edna money for medical bills back when Cassie was pregnant, implying it was hush money, but that Edna proudly refused to take anything more than the bare minimum she needed. But it doesn't matter to Cole. Cole is done.
He sees his father clearly for the first time.
For the first time in his life, he sees a sad, controlling, manipulative old man who values a name more than his own son's happiness, and he just breaks from him.
So he packs a bag.
He packs a bag right then and there. Frank tries one last power move. He says Jake belongs at the ranch, that he's a Davis. He tries to claim ownership of the boy.
And Cole finally claims his son for himself.
He does. He turns to his father and asserts that Jake is his son, not Frank's legacy. He warns his father to stay away from both of them. It's the first time in his life he has truly stood up to the patriarch.
Okay. So he's broken with his father. And then does he go back to Cassie to try and work it out?
No, he leaves.
He leaves town after all that.
He gets in his car, drives all night to an airport, gets on his jet, and flies back to Silicon Valley. He completely vanishes and buries himself in work.
So he abandons them. Again, from Cassie's perspective, he just did the same thing all over again.
In his mind, he's reeling. He needs space to process a decade of lies. But to Cassie, it looks exactly like her worst fear come true. The truth came out, and the man she loves walked away.
That is the cliffhanger. That's where the book leaves us.
That is where we are left hanging. Cassie is stuck in Winding River. She's committed to staying now because of her mom and her friends. But the town gossip mill, personified by Pete at the diner, reports that Cole is gone. And not only that, but Frank Davis is allegedly bedridden with depression because his son and heir has walked out on him.
So it's a complete and total mess.
It is a complete and total disaster for everyone involved.
I love it. Okay, but let's step back and look at the so what of it all. We promise a deep dive, not just a recap. When you boil it all down, what is the core lesson here?
I think this book is a masterclass on the toxicity of protection. Every single major conflict in this story happened because someone thought they were protecting someone else from a painful truth.
Break that down for us.
Okay. Edna ripped up Cole's letter to protect Cassie from the perceived future rejection from the Davises. Cassie hid Jake for 9 years to protect him from Frank's cruelty, and also to protect her own heart. And even Jake committed internet fraud to protect his mom's bank account and try to make her happy.
Everyone was acting out of love in their own twisted way.
Yes, they all had good intentions. But the central lesson of the text is that lying to protect someone, no matter how noble your intentions, usually causes infinitely more damage than the truth ever would. The lie itself becomes a corrosive element. It eats away at trust until there is absolutely nothing left.
And now they have to try and rebuild from ground zero. From less than zero.
If they can rebuild at all. And that's the big question, isn't it? The question the book leaves you with. Can you forgive a decade of stolen time? If you are Cole, can you ever look at Cassie without thinking about the 9 birthdays, 9 Christmases that you missed.
I honestly don't know if I could.
Yeah.
I really don't think I could get past that.
It's the ultimate test of the second chance romance trope. Is love truly enough to bridge a 10-year lie involving a child? That's not a small misunderstanding. That is a fundamental betrayal.
Well, listeners, we want to know what you think. If you found out today you had a 9-year-old kid and your partner had hidden it from you for their entire life,
Yeah.
are you forgiving them, or are you calling a lawyer?
Or are you just getting on a plane and flying back to Silicon Valley to disappear into your work?
Exactly. It makes you think about the unfinished business in your own lives. Maybe send that text you've been afraid to send. Clear the air now before it festers and turns into a generational conspiracy with illegal internet scams.
Please do. For everyone's sake.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.